Hey, soul warriors, are you tired of living other people's scripts of who you are or who you should be? It's time to reclaim your truth. Join us on a journey of self-discovery as we shatter the lies we've been fed and embrace the power to define our own reality. From mirror work to inner dialogue shifts, discover transformative tools to elevate your confidence, self-worth, and self-esteem. It all starts with mastering your inner chatter. So let's rewrite the scripts together. Oh my goodness. And the cat meows
Minnie
right
agrees.
on cue.
Let's rewrite the
we
script.
have a little guest in today's podcast back here. She refused to move.
And
So-
she might, put in her 2 cents every so often.
Yes. So we apologize for that in advance if you're not a cat person, but she's taking a bath. So hopefully she'll be good for a few minutes. She has a lot of self-chatter internal and it externalizes constantly.
Yeah.
So we all have this monkey mind, this internal dialogue and chatter going all along all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it sometimes can get overwhelming and it seems to define who we are. So how positive or negative that self-talk is, whatever it's saying, is defining your being. So where the hell does that come from? And why is it so strong and so hard to get rid of?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I get to play witness on how yours runs. I mean, and it goes at 100 miles an hour.
Because I let mine come out my mouth all the time.
A lot of the times I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. When I sit with myself and I'm aware of the chatter that's going on, it's pretty consistent. I'm either thinking about what I need to do next or what's happening in my life, or back in some story from my past or anything like that. It seems to be pretty consistent on that loop, if you will. And I also get to understand a little bit of where the emotions come from, depending on what story I'm cycling at that moment. I really get to notice that a lot. So, but my self-talk or the chatter that happens is not as quick as yours, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, everybody's is a little different.
Yeah.
And this is a huge part of your spiritual awakening and your spiritual journey. You might notice that it gets like a lot busier because you're actually diving into who you are and waking yourself up. So you're trying to uncover and unravel all of these things. So if it starts to get worse, it's okay. You're right on track. Wherever you're at with it, because again, it's different for everybody. All these tools we're going to talk about work different for everybody. Combining them sometimes works great. Yeah. Sometimes one person's like, this is the way because that's what worked for them. And that's awesome, but it might not work for you. So it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. We're just all built a little different, have a little different energetic signature. So what's going to work with our frequency, it's going to change and it's going to shift.
Right.
So where does it come from? Comes from childhood. You are a little kid.
Of course it does.
Everything stems from childhood. You're just absorbing like a sponge when you're a kid, and you're taking in, what your parents are saying about you and your teacher and the neighbor when they meet you and whatever the doctor says, and on and on and on. It's just input. And then that builds up because you're soaking it all up. And then that becomes your sense of self. Yeah. Now, is that your truth? No. Most of what we are fed are lies. Not that people are lying to us, but it's just them through their set of perceptions and blinders and their traumas and their filter and their self-talk, which came from generations back, is coming out, and now it's being laid on your doorstep.
Yeah. I mean, I know that for me growing up, I heard a lot of like, you're going to amount to absolutely fucking nothing. You're going to end up in jail or dead, one or the other, because I had such a bad attitude most of the time because I was so freaking angry about so many different things that had occurred in my life. So, and this is, me still being very, very young. So that talk that was given to me was always based on that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, watch me. Yeah, right? You go ahead. You watch me. And it was the biggest thing for me was succeeding in every level of my life. And not that I went around trying to prove them wrong, but I just lived my life the way I wanted to live my life, not the way they thought I should.
And that is a huge thing to anchor into. So if you have that negative self-talk that's going on, anchor into a purpose, a goal, into who you want to be, who you want to become, or hopefully that's who you already feel like inside, but you had all this stuff put upon you. So you're just digging out of that to become successful in whatever you want to be. Every moment is different. Every moment is new and fresh for you to reinvent yourself. You can start again and again and again. There
Right.
is no failure. There is only building blocks, and you just keep getting up and keep trying.
Right. When I got into the mindset of service, like whatever I did in my life, it was to serve either serve myself, serve others, serve the situation. When I really focused on placing service in everything that I did, to bring value to the things that I did, the things that I wanted to create in my life, to have some sort of value to it, that's when things started to shift in a very different way. People started talking to me differently,
Yeah.
if you will. But I think because in that moment, since my vibration was completely different at that point, I was attracting the right kind of people, so it gave me a boost, because I'm like, okay, I'm feeling like I'm on the right track.
Yeah, yeah,
It
definitely.
felt really, really good. And that's kind of how I gauged it most of the time.
And you'll know, like, you might have this as a preset that works for you. It works for most people, to be honest with you, that serving other people makes you feel good. Like, you could be in the lowest mood, but then you just, like, automatically, without thinking about it, hold the door open for somebody and they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. And you can feel it, and it shifts you. Their gratitude frequency shifts you internally, even if just for that moment, because you served. You'll commonly see this a lot. People go overboard into it because they do get that hit, that dopamine hit, that validation hit. They'll go into people pleaser mode.
Right.
So when you still have the negative self-talk thing going, but you're like, and then you start to get resentful because you're serving everybody else, that's not coming from a place of, it's coming from a place of obligation instead of a place of you just want to show up and give.
Right. You've attached yourself to an outcome. You've decided that there's going to be some sort of a dopamine hit after you've placed service in play. So when you're in service, you're in service. It's not about that other person or that other situation making you feel good. You're just doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Which is very, very different.
Very. And that leads me into ego, because I think when we place ourselves in that people pleaser place, and then we're like, well, I have to do this because they don't know how to do it and they always just come to me. And it's giving yourself a sense of self-importance. But at the same time, that's ego. And ego is the reason why this has such a strong hold on you, why this negative self-talk, this low self-esteem, this low self-worth kind of just feels so heavy on you. The ego doesn't like polarity, doesn't like only likes polarity. Let me correct that. Yeah. Black, white, right, wrong. You succeeded, you failed, period.
Yeah, there's
Total
no
extremes.
middle ground.
None.
It's the extreme on either side. On either side.
And your path to spiritual awakening is you like, okay, I've been living this 3D, very dense existence. Now I'm going up into this higher realms and, really connecting into my soul self, into my spiritual essence. And now I'm coming into balance. This is the fifth stage of spiritual awakening, where I'm coming into balance. Actually, we can link the spiritual awakening, all the stages, in case that's something that interests you. You can learn more about that. We'll link that above. You're coming into balance of marrying those two worlds. And this is where the ego will fight you tooth and nail, because it doesn't want to lose its significance. Right. And so ego, we commonly think of just the, I'm better than everybody else. Jay Shetty actually is the master at explaining this, but I'll do my best to live up to it. The ego is like, I'm better than everybody else. I'm awesome. I'm successful. Everybody else is like beneath me somewhere. There's the other side of ego. My life is the worst. It's shit. Everything happens to me. I'm stupid. I'm not worth anything. And it's just fighting for that being the lowest, or it's fighting for being that highest.
And we all have people like that in our lives.
Yep.
Just, think about who those people are.
Right. And where you fall on that.
Yeah.
Because that's it. These are all mirrors. That's why it's beautiful. Like, you don't like the really super egoic person, and you often don't like to be around the person that, you know, everything happens to me, it's just shit, I have no choice, I can't do anything about it. Like, because after a while it's just like, oh my god, I can't just sit in this dense energy all the time, or I can't just sit in this egoic. They're both egoic. That's the thing, we're so taught that egoic is just
higher parts
the
of
higher
it.
parts
Yeah.
of it,
And it's both.
and it is both. So you've probably never thought of ego that way. And so that's why it's such a big hold, because the ego is strong and the ego doesn't want to lose relevance. So you have to figure out how to work with it.
Right, right. And the thing, when you're aware of the chatter that's happening in your mind, you know, whether you're talking to yourself, saying, you know, I'm worthless, I'm stupid, I'm this, I'm that, whatever. You're in that lower extreme of things, and if the chatter is, you know, I'm great, I'm fantastic, I know this better than anybody, and all this stuff. It's about finding the balance, really. You know, being honest. I believe Jay Shetty said it best when you can come to terms with what you're really, really good at, what you're mediocre at, and what you suck at, you're on a good spot.
Exactly. And address it all with respect and being humble.
Absolutely.
So, like, I know I'm really good at medical billing. I know I'm really good at figuring out like certain tech issues. I know I'm really good at holding space for people. And I'm freaking brilliant at bridging things between the mundane and the spiritual.
Right.
I know that about me. But I'm humble at, are other people, like, you know, Jay Shetty speaks about this better than me. I know that, and that's awesome, and that's his special slice of the pie. I can do this piece, and that's awesome. Like, I have respect for myself. I don't feel like I'm better than anybody else. I know I'm good at it.
Right.
I also know what I really suck at. I'm not good at singing. I am kind of awkward when it comes to sports and stuff like that, but I still like to do them, and I still try, and I still show up, and I can still have fun.
When you get super honest with who you are, what you're about, and what really works for you, you really are in a good spot, because you're honoring those things. You're not putting them down. You're not in the extreme of the ego right down here.
Right. I'm not shoveling more dirt onto the
Right.
grave that the ego was built,
Right.
that your life is just trash.
I mean, you can certainly camp out there if you so wish. I don't recommend it. It is finding that balance. You know, we're here to experience life. We're here to do a lot of those things, but the most important thing is to really get to know ourselves.
Right.
What really works for us, how it makes us feel. And when it comes to that feeling part of it, we all want to be happy.
Right.
So what will get us there? Is it having that low vibrational type of ego, or the high vibrational type of ego, or somewhere in the middle? Whatever works for you.
Right. And balance doesn't mean you have to find the exact middle between anything.
No.
Like, balance isn't like, you know, standing on the whatever, how the seesaw is balancing perfectly.
Yeah.
That's not it. I know it gets talked about a lot. Like, there's this mystical balance place that everybody has to find. This set point is unique to you. And it will shift up and down.
Yeah.
Like, some people just, you are born with your DNA to be a little bit more on the positive side of life. And some people's DNA is built to be a little bit more on the pessimistic side of life. That's just where you fall on the line. So your balance is going to be very different from where mine is. So don't use other people, use them to mirror stuff back to you so you can grow and learn and introspect, but don't use it as like, I need to get where they're at, because that's what balance looks like, because they're a balanced teacher.
Now you're dancing with comparison.
Right.
And we're all different, and we tick in very different ways. So what works for her doesn't work for me, and vice versa.
Right.
So we need to be aware and conscious of that, and give ourselves a little bit of slack to be able to stumble, because we're going to stumble, and that's okay.
Right. And this is where you get to see how life is really like you moving up and down that scale constantly. Wherever your magical set point where you feel the most at peace is not where you sit. You're just going to fluctuate back and forth. Because I know sometimes, like, when I had built my medical billing business, it was easy for me. And I just built it, and it built up fast and huge, and it was amazing. Put me into another business that I'm trying to build, and I can get things to a certain point, but then I hit a ceiling and I'm like, why? I just finished doing this with this other business that doesn't make sense. Then I started to get frustrated with myself. Like, what am I missing? Why? The only difference is that I worked 8 million hours and I worked super hard on that other one. And that's not me anymore. And it's not necessary to hustle and work hard. Those are old programs.
Right.
So I'm debunking that. So I'm stepping into this new life, but this business isn't building as quickly. Why? Then I realized I'm not good at sales and marketing. Not that I can't be good at it, or maybe I can't. Maybe that's something I'm not good at. I don't think so. I just have never studied it. I've never learned it. And I need to, again, get rid of old beliefs that offering my services to somebody is, used car salesman, or, all the old things that played in your head since you were a kid and you just adopted and you don't even realize those programs are playing under the surface.
Yeah.
That's a lot of your negative self-talk. Again, stuff that's not even true.
Right. I mean, mine was a lot about not understanding numbers and things like that. I was really bad at math. It's not something that comes easy to me. But I really figured out how to successfully create Wolf's Pet Sitting.
Yeah, you did.
By keeping an eye on the numbers, by measuring what's working and what's not, and things like that. And I found that to be a little bit easier because I was so hands-on with it. And which was very different from where I came from social work, which it was a lot about, being in service, with the people that, I managed and the people that I took care of and I advocated for and things like that. And that came super easy.
Right.
Way easier than creating Wolf's Pet Sitting. So that's where I got to see what I'm naturally really freaking good at. No. Versus something I need to work on, which was that mediocre part of things, and the numbers part was at the bottom.
And what's the magic in that? She found value in the numbers because they helped her to build her business.
Yeah.
I'm finding value in sales and marketing, this other business I'm building, because that's how I can share with the world what my special sauce is and how they can access me. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of people that I've worked with that are like, yeah, I've watched you for years, but I didn't know how I could work with you.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so I found value in it. So then I found a coach that could support me in it. And then I'm learning more and more about it. And am I great at it? I'm on the struggle bus, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. A lot of negative self-talk and chatter going on. Mm-hmm. So what do? I anchor back into my goal. I anchor back into service. Mm-hmm. And then I talk to myself. A big thing when we talk to ourselves, self-help and the spiritual community has been big on just affirmations and I am statements. And they can be absolutely powerful if they work for you. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of people, they don't work. They'll come to us in our coaching sessions and say, I've been saying I am loved and I am this and I am that. And I feel the same exact way I have for the last 40 years and nothing's changed. What's going on? When you speak to yourself, use your name. Mm-hmm. Address yourself like you would your best friend that you care about, that you're going to listen to them and you're going to let them vent what they need to, but then you're not going to continue that forward in a like, yeah, let's just, get into the guts of that story and make the pain worse and amplify it. We're going to like, okay, I see you. I hear you. Yeah, that does suck. Yeah, that did hurt. Yeah, I can see why you're angry. That's valid. Now, how can we where are we going to go from here? How can we move this story forward? How can we move the needle? That's how you need to speak to yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I consistently, when I'm doing something, like in the middle of creating something, doing whatever, and I do something that I feel was wrong mm-hmm. or silly, whatever the feeling that comes up, the first thing I say, come on, Lagera.
Yeah.
And then I start talking to myself and process, okay, what do I need to do now? Why did I feel this way at this moment? So I apply that and I do. I'm like, because I'm all about, addressing people with their last name. It's been a thing my entire life. So when I have to talk to myself, that's what I say. Come on, Lagera, let's get this going. and it helps me move forward in very focused way. It's like, but at the same time, it gives me the ability to feel open, mm-hmm. to receive what the possibilities are, because I'm always listening to spirit, always.
Yeah.
Because the spirit, my body, the whole thing, because the answers are all there.
Right. All the parts of you are communicating.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice, like, if your guts tightens up or you get this like little heaviness in your chest, like, nope, that's not feeling good with my morals, my values. That's
Yeah.
not working for me right now. I need to shift that, instead of like, yep, see, there I go, I'm a worthless piece of shit, I just said that and I didn't really mean it, and going down that rabbit hole. If you go down the rabbit hole, talk yourself back up out of the rabbit hole. And if you can't, call people that can. We all have, a friend, or you get a coach, or, even just come online. Listening to a video like this is helping you raise your confidence, raise your self-esteem, and raise your self-worth, because you're not like grabbing a beer and just mindlessly binge watching some trash on Netflix that is lowering your vibration more and lowering your frequency and matching where you're sitting, but you're just trying to numb out to it.
Right. One of my favorite phrase in one of Russ's song is, "My gut is my directional," because your gut tells you left or right, straight, backwards. It'll tell you right away, or you just simply need to stop.
That's fire.
And I love that little tidbit in the song.
Yeah. Another tell that just came to me, that if you can't accept a compliment, because a lot of people are like, I want to feel connected, I want to feel loved, I want to feel seen, and somebody will see you and say, you know what, you're awesome, or I really love that shirt, your hair looks phenomenal today, whatever it is, and they'll be like, or change the subject. They won't take that happy, positive energy. They won't take in exactly what they said that they wanted. So catch yourself if you're doing that, and you want to know why you're doing that, because that's the big thing. There was this brilliant, I actually wrote this down before we got on the podcast. This man that's a researcher and not a therapist. He's a psychologist and a neuroscience researcher, and he's amazing. And I can't remember his name right now. I'm very sorry. But he does this thing with people that he works with, where if they have that going on, he has them go out, pick random people or people and say, do you like hot tea? Answer.
Yes.
Excellent. You can't like hot tea.
Why not?
And then this is what he has them say to people. I'm sorry, but I can't permit you to feel that way about hot tea. And then, how do you feel about potato peelers?
I could take it or leave it.
I'm sorry, I can't permit you to feel that way.
Okay.
So every time somebody is giving you love, a compliment, something, and you're not taking that in, you're basically saying to them, I'm sorry, I'm not taking in what you're giving me. I can't permit you to feel that way. It feels absurd, doesn't it? And you're also saying to yourself, sorry, self, I know this is all the stuff that you want, but I can't permit you to feel that way. You know who's speaking? Ego. Ego is speaking, because ego doesn't want something to be in conflict with where ego has you. So if ego has you in the grip of all of that negative self-talk, low self-esteem, and low self-worth, and somebody is mirroring your brilliance to you, ego's going to shut that down real quick.
Yeah.
But he has people go out and do that exercise so they can feel the absurdity in their body and in their mind and in their being. Like, no. So the next time that happens, you have a body felt sense and a mind memory of this. So you catch yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that brings me to how that's always been like a stick in the mud for me. I've my entire life, I've played a role of mirroring for people. And one of the most amazing things, my capability of seeing those higher parts of people, those bright light, the awesomeness of their spirit, like all those things. And I address them from there.
Right.
And I have found that in the past, it had kicked me in the ass, because then they get resistant, or all of a sudden I'm becoming difficult, or because I'm actually triggering something, because I'm mirroring to them their possibility that they feel that they can't match right now. You know, I've had people tell me, I'm not the person that you're seeing. I'm like, but you are.
You are.
Because I'm seeing you right now.
Buried under all the lies and the untruths and the low self-esteem and the
Yeah.
self-worth issues. That's what we see in our coaching with
Yeah.
people when you come before us. We see your brilliance. And I've had the same thing where I've spoken to somebody's brilliance, and at first they're like, yeah, wow, this person really likes me and they really see me, and we're really engaged, and we develop this really awesome, friendship or work relationship or whatever it is, or a coaching thing. And then, all of a sudden they're backpedaling, and then there's some sort of problem because the ego's starting to be like, nope.
I get I can't live up to how you see me. I'm not asking you to live up to that. I'm just saying I'm going to address that part of you because that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
You do what you do.
Do you, boo?
You know, I mean, honestly, if you look at it and somebody's looking at you from a very brilliant part of who you are, do you really want them to see you differently? Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, do you want them to see the insecurity, the low self-esteem, the fear, all those things that are running within you? Do you want them to see that, or do you actually want them to see you?
Right.
Because when you come across somebody like myself, that is exactly what I see. I see you versus all the other things that life has imposed upon you or that you have imposed upon yourself.
And this isn't about hiding those parts of yourself. Like, nobody likes, to see, I don't want you to see my vulnerabilities or my weaknesses or my self-esteem issues or anything like that. This isn't about hiding those parts. This is about getting curious and being like, wow, okay, you're really seeing me, and it's hitting me in some sort of way.
Yeah.
So tell me more of like what you're seeing or why you're seeing that. And when I get into my like low self-talk place, I might have you remind me of that again. Like, this is an opportunity for you. These opportunities are all around you all the time. And if the ego, and notice I'm not saying my ego or your ego, the ego, this is just a construct. It's part of us, but you don't have to identify like it's your boss.
Right, exactly.
The ego is doing its job, and you can catch it and say, yo, ego, I know, I see what you're doing. I get it. Thanks for protecting me. Thanks for showing up. I've got this. My soul self is going to drive right now. But thank you for being there, because it is important. You need these fight or flight reflexes. You need the ego. You need all these things to help you show up when you get in stressful situations, because this is how you survive and this is how you thrive. So they're not parts of you that you want to get rid of. They're parts of you that you're going to learn how to work with as a team, as your spiritual advisory board, collecting all these parts of yourself and other souls that can support you.
This is the part where you get to look at yourself authentically and respectfully, and honor the parts of you that you might perceive as being less than. But that's okay, because those are all parts of you. Again, if you can see the highest highs of what you're capable of doing, the mediocre parts of what you're capable of doing, and the lower parts of what you're capable of doing, you are in a good spot, because you are aware and you're being honest with yourself. Once you're there, the possibilities of shifting whatever you need to shift in the moment for whatever situation, it's like a snap.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn more about that. I'm going to find somebody who knows about that to help teach me. I'm going to hire somebody to do that for me, because it's not my forte, or because I simply don't like to do it. It doesn't light up my soul. Right. There's all sorts of things that you can do. And mirror work is an amazing thing. Just sitting and really looking at yourself and loving on yourself, and use your name. Like you don't have to say, I am loved, and your mind's calling bullshit on it. Like, I freaking love you, Tara.
Yeah.
Like, talk to yourself. And if you can't say that, if you can't look in the mirror and love, I was taught this in a mirror work thing. If you can't love it, respect it. And if you can't look at yourself and say, I respect you, I'm going to encourage you. You've got this, Tara. You can figure this out. We can do it. We're going to baby step it. We're going to do it together. Like, let's freaking go. If you can't do that, how can you support it? Or I'm going to get you help. You deserve help. I'm going to get you help. I see that you're struggling. I'm seeing that. I'm hearing that. Watch yourself cry. Watch whatever, your lip quiver, whatever has to happen to allow what needs to come out of you, so that you can free up space and grab in more of the energy that you're looking for and take those steps. And if you can't, find somebody that can support you, a therapist, a coach, a friend.
I mean, when you're doing the mirror work and you can't find that space to be able to say, you know, I freaking love you. Mm-hmm. You are saying to yourself, I'm not worth it.
Yep.
Okay. You've entered parts of yourself that you're like, okay, I have conducted myself in life in such a way that I am not proud of. So I can't look at myself and say, I love you. What can you do to change that? Be deliberate on how you live your life. Be deliberate of the choices that you make. Be honest, be authentic, be the kind of person that when you do look in the mirror, you're like, fuck yeah, this is who I am. And that's how it works.
And it takes practice and it takes
Absolutely.
time, and you build your way up to it. You're not going to go from I'm a piece of shit to yeah, I love you and really believe it. Mm-hmm. I mean, start with put on your favorite shirt, or if you have a favorite hat that you love, put it on because you know you love and you like how you look in that. It makes you feel a little bit more confident, automatically. And look in the mirror and be like, I love you in that hat. You look freaking badass in that hat. Those are little bits of self-love. And then that'll build and that'll build. It's just like a muscle, and it's just like exercise.
Absolutely.
And know that you can't control this whole monkey mind thing. You can't control the thoughts that are popping into your head. It's an automatic thing. So this isn't about trying to manage that. It's about what you do after they pop in. And the second thing you can't control is the outcome.
Yeah.
There's a million unlimited possibilities. That's what we're stepping into in our spiritual awakening. We're stepping into being limitless, awesome, amazing beings.
Yeah.
So trying to control an outcome, trying to control the thoughts, it's all wasted energy. So I'm sure a lot of you have tried to do that. I mean, I was big on control for a long time, and then big on trying to manage and stifle the thoughts.
I was big on attachment, and that's a limitation.
Absolutely. So know where your coping mechanisms are, so you can catch yourself and then just, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to take a deep breath because that thought is just spiraling me down, and I don't want to fall in that rabbit hole right now. What am I going to do? Am I going to call somebody? Am I going to start moving my body? Am I going to go meditate? Because another piece is meditation. In meditation, it works different ways, again, just like everything else for different people, in some different ways just within your being. I do some meditations and I feel like a tiny little speck because I can see all that is. Like I'm this tiny little cog in this giant cosmic wheel, and it's awesome. And when I get that small in my meditation, my problems are like, wow, look at all this beautiful universal vastness. My problems aren't that, what I was having for dinner, or that my paycheck didn't hit my bank account and I have to talk to HR tomorrow at work. Those don't seem so big because I can deal with those when I get to them. Or you feel huge and part of all that is, and you feel massive. And what I'm having for dinner or having to go to the grocery store that annoys me, that's not so important anymore when you're stepping into all that is. Yeah. So meditation is a beautiful place to allow the mind to empty itself. Again, meditation is not about just trying to be completely 100% Zen and the thoughts don't happen.
They will happen.
They will happen. Sure. Allow them, witness them. Don't follow them down the rabbit hole. If they go, fine, they go, but pull it back as soon as you recognize it. And then just you work with them. And eventually more and more quietness comes, and more either bigness or smallness or whatever needs to come in will come in. And so the other things can start to fall away.
And let me tell you something. The stillness and the silence can be equally as loud. So be aware of that and honor that and be okay with that, because that's the vastness that you were talking about. Because when you've entered that everything, there is a lot of noise with the stillness.
Absolutely. Because I mean, it's the grid of information of everything, everything that you've wanted and cried about and pleaded for and hoped for and strived for and showed up for and have been growing towards. It's all in there.
Right.
All in there. At once, in harmony, together. And it's okay. Nobody's trying to get rid of what you cried for. Nobody's trying to get rid of what you want there. Nobody's trying to say you're working too hard, you're striving too much, you're never going to make it there. Like, it's all just there, but you're in love and you're in peace, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So the more you center yourself in love and peace and in the beauty of it all, in the gratitude for all of it, the less of a negative impact all these other things can have on you.
I think I'm complete.
I feel complete too.
Are you complete?
So I hope that helped you. We'd love for you to comment below and like what your journey is with this, what's worked for you, or maybe what hit you most that we just talked about, something new you might have learned. And like and subscribe so that you can get more of these fabulous ways that we serve out to you through video and connect with all of you. And we're happy to have you in our community, Soul Warriors.
All right. Be kind.
Peace.